The Adventures of Izzy and Cade, written by Macy Batchelor. This is a story about a girl named Izzy who is in kindergarten. This is Cade, her best friend. They love to explore the world together and learn new things. This week at school, their teacher, Miss Macy, taught them about living and non-living things. Little did she know that Izzy and Cade loved to explore. Miss Macy challenged the class to go outside after school and explore living and non-living things. She said, "Don't forget to use your worksheet and show it to me tomorrow." Izzy and Cade were so excited. When they got home, Izzy, Cade, and her mom went on a walk to explore. Izzy's mom took them to the park where their adventure began. As they were exploring, they saw a beautiful butterfly. Izzy looked at Cade and asked, "Is this a living or non-living thing?" Cade said, "Remember what Miss Macy said? You need to ask 3 simple questions. Does it grow? Does it need food and water? Does it reproduce? If the answer is yes, then it is living." Izzy, with an excited look on her face, said, "It does grow. It does need food and water. It does reproduce, because there are baby butterflies all around. So a butterfly is a living thing. Let's draw a picture on our worksheet." This is Izzy and Cade's worksheet. That is a beautiful butterfly that they drew, and these are the questions that they asked themselves. So they checked off, it can grow, it needs food and water, it reproduces. So it is a living thing. So they put a check mark beside living. Cade said, "Look, Izzy, I see a rock." Izzy replied, "Is it a living or non-living thing?" Cade said, "I think it is a living thing. It doesn't grow. It doesn't need food and water. It doesn't reproduce." Izzy said, "You are right, Cade. It is a non-living thing." Izzy drew the rock on their worksheet. This is the worksheet. This is the drawing of the rock. And those are the 3 questions that they asked when they looked at the rock. And it doesn't grow. It doesn't need food and water. And it doesn't reproduce. So it is a non-living thing, which is why it's checked off at the bottom. As they walked back to Izzy's mom, Izzy was so excited because she saw her dog, Ollie. Cade said, "Look, Izzy, another living thing." Izzy said with excitement, "Good job, Cade. I didn't think of my dog, Ollie, as a living thing, but she is." Izzy drew Ollie on the worksheet, and as they were walking back, they saw plastic bottles on the path. Izzy said, "Oh no! Someone threw their trash on the ground. Let's pick it up." Cade picked up the bottles and said, "Izzy, these are non-living things, right?" "Yes," said Izzy. Izzy drew the bottles on their worksheet. So on the worksheet, on the left, you have Ollie the dog, and they have asked themselves 3 questions again, and they checked off that it can grow, it needs food and water, and it reproduces, so they checked off that it's living. But the water bottles on the right side, they do not grow, they do not need food and water, and they do not reproduce, so it is a non-living thing, so that is why it's checked off. The next day, Izzy and Cade got to show Miss Macy and the class their worksheet. They even got to explain what living and non-living things are and how to tell the difference. Now it's your turn to be an explorer. The book covers the standard SKL1, obtain, evaluate, and communicate information about how organisms, alive and not alive, and non-living objects are grouped. The learning targets for this is construct an explanation based on observations to recognize the difference between organisms and non-living objects. The second is develop a model to represent how a set of organisms and non-living objects are sorted into groups based on their attributes.